Well, welcome back to Center Webcast. This is episode number 18. I am joined once again by Indiana County Commissioner Sherene Hess. Are you there? Oh, you're muted.
Hi. All right.
Fantastic. Great to see you.
Hi, everyone.
A couple of things, a lot of things have happened since you were on before. We've got some updates on numbers. Maybe you could start with that. Can you, I saw you've got I've appreciated your post on Facebook in terms of keeping us up to date, kind of a reasonable post. Can you tell us about what the numbers look like today for COVID-19 here in the county?
Sure. And I do try to post at least every other day and every day if I can, what's happening locally. And today's been a number day, doing a lot of number crunching. And unfortunately, we have seen another death of COVID-19. And so it takes our death count to 5. And now I do want to say that there are 4 of those have occurred at nursing homes, long-term care facilities, and 1 is from another place. I'm not sure exactly where that is, but it's sort of an indication that this isn't just contained to our long-term care facilities. It is in the community, and there's toxicity to this virus. So I just want to remind people about that. Our positive cases have increased to, what was the number, 70 or 74 now? I'm losing track.
Up 1 to 70, I think.
Yeah, and again, it's not, we don't have a high case count, relatively speaking. Our case count, the 50 per 100,000 threshold, we are nowhere near that. We're at 22.6, but we aren't on a decline either. So we need to be extra vigilant about things. So just wanted to point out those couple of numbers. In Pennsylvania, there were 554 new fatalities reported, and that's over a 2-week period, which takes our death count to over 3,000. And it's a significant number. I think we're number 5 in the nation, 5 or 6 in terms of the deaths.
I feel like what we're seeing, there were all these comparisons that folks wanted to downplay the virus. They would compare it to the flu and talk about numbers from fatalities from the flu, which is not a very good comparison. But even with our numbers, they're worse.
Even I did that in the very beginning. I said, look at how many deaths there are from the flu. But we have way eclipsed that comparison. I mean, I don't even know that you could compare it in the beginning. This virus is toxic. It is still new. There are so many things we continue to learn about it. And yet, our infection rate is, those are the metrics that we have to look at. Infection rate, whether we can do contact tracing, whether we can do the appropriate amount of testing, and so on. So.
Let me ask you a quick question about the cases here in the county. Do you know if we have data on what those cases look like with regard to demographics? The Attorney General mentioned it a little bit in terms of this disproportionate impact that the virus has had on communities of color. I wonder what those numbers look like for Indiana County. Do you have access to that?
We know. So we know that there have been 70 or 74 cases total. But in the last 2 weeks, we've had 19 new cases, roughly. We also know that most of those cases have occurred in the 15701 area, and it's on the Pennsylvania Department of Health website. And we know that 15701 and 15717, which is the southern part of the county, that's where most of our cases are occurring. But they are all over. So we don't want to get too complacent that, it's just in the more populated areas. They are all over.
There's cases in all counties. Yeah,
our all plan parts of the counties too. Yeah, just to be clear. Yeah, there you go. That's the site. And the darker the shade, the more prevalent the cases.
We are planning a program, one of our episodes, to actually focus on some of the areas outside of Indiana, or 15701, I should say, our program. is pretty 15701 centric, and there's ways that we can move on from that. Let me ask you about both contact tracing and testing. The last we heard, there wasn't necessarily much contact tracing happening here in the county, and we were under on testing.
Yeah. Our numbers indicate that we are not testing enough. We are getting better, but to really have the safest metric possible, the safest outcome, the safest of all worlds, we need to test a lot more, and so do a lot of areas. Contact tracing is, I mean, I don't know of any. I know in general in the state, and there are some bills being proposed to really resource that activity, which needs to happen, and I believe that it will. It's just going to take some time. But that's all the more to say that we need to be extra vigilant. We need to continue doing the social distancing, the masks, the don't gather in large groups, stay home if you're sick, wash your hands, all of it. Now is the time, because we do hope, I mean, there is a point where we do need to get back to some kind of restoring our economies and while remaining safe. But the better we can keep our numbers, the more success we're going to have in getting to that point. So now's the time to do it. And you know, I see a lot of people doing it, but I also see a lot of people not doing it and not taking it seriously. So I guess I would put that appeal out there always to keep on being vigilant.
Right. These you know, these numbers in terms of overall cases, our low testing numbers are not really ability for contact tracing. I think has a direct impact on whether or not it's safe for us to quote unquote reopen, or whether or not it's whether or not we end up in the governor's zone of yellow rather than red. Can you give us an update in terms of that and where we are? The governor put out on Friday,
Friday. Last Friday. He
Friday,
gave the go-ahead for 24 counties to go to move from the red phase, the most serious phase, to the yellow phase. Now that doesn't mean you flip a switch and everybody goes back to, you know, the way it was before. That just means in the yellow phase, you wanted to make sure basically you still have your social restrictions, but they are lifted a great deal. You still can't have large gatherings. In retail operations, they prefer not prefer, but they're saying keep to half of your maximum capacity at any one time. For curbside and delivery, that's still the preferable way of doing food types of places, restaurants. The congregate care and prison care and all of those standards still remain in place. So there's just a number of things that are still in place with the yellow setting, but some things are eased. So it was basically the 24 counties in north central and northwestern Pennsylvania. And, you know, it caused a lot of heartache for bordering counties like Indiana and Armstrong and Cambria and Butler and Westmoreland, even, and all the Southwest. I mean, there's a real question of disparity. Because we in the Southwest do meet a lot, and if not all of the metrics that those counties met last week. So there's some angst, there's some legitimate frustration with that system. I think personally the governor's has a tremendously difficult job, and they have a plan. It's a strong plan. But if you're not one of the counties that are reopened immediately, you're going to be disappointed. However, we do feel like we're on the path to a reopening, and if not during this announcement, very soon. You know, I can't say for sure because they have to actually run the data. They have to run the numbers.
So can you remind folks, is it May 8th when the current shift, as you were talking about, between the red and yellow, the northwest counties will move into a yellow phase on May 8th?
Correct. Technically we're still in the red phase.
We're all in red, and we'll still be in red past May 8th. Do you have any info in terms of when the next phase of decisions might be happening?
but the information we're getting is that they're going to make an announcement. We're going to look at the data on Thursday and make an announcement on Friday. As of right now, that's what we're hearing. So, and that could mean that the next round of counties would open up May 15th or so.
Okay.
But you know, things can change. So that's the caveat I always give.
Right. So it's so there's I mean there seems to be this real balance between what we started talking about the first half is how important it is to maintain these social distancing, so that our numbers do remain quote unquote flattened, and at the same time kind of be smart on this reopening, this sort of tight balance.
Yes.
So are we still being within the governor's plan? I guess last week we talked, or maybe a week and a half ago, we were in the Southwest region. It seems like those regions still being used as sort of dividers? Are we still sort of grouped in with the Southwest?
Well, we are, but there is some attempts to look at county by county. For instance, I mean, Lawrence County was considered to be in the Southwest region, but they actually moved up with that Northwest region to be reopened because they met the metrics. And on the other hand, Columbia County did not meet those metrics. Their threshold was way above 50 per 100,000. So they were not able to be included in that grouping. So for a large part of it, it is by region, but for some, there are some exceptions to that.
Yeah, and I know there's been a lot of I heard the guests we've had on before here, Senators Pittman and Representative Struzzi have been strongly advocating for us to be. I know they were disappointed that we weren't a part of this first group. One of the things I think about in terms of Indiana having a relatively decent numbers in terms of metrics, we are nonetheless really connected to the larger Allegheny County via these big, these highways. We see 422 and 28 and 396. These are highways, and we know that there is a significant commuter culture between Indiana, or at least the Indiana region, and Pittsburgh, or at least the Pittsburgh region, which is not necessarily the case, I think, when you go just to the north of us, to Jefferson County, I think.
Yeah, that 22 corridor, 422. But I don't know. I mean, we don't know what's going on, but the 119 North corridor is for the northern part of the county is the corridor, and we did see 6 new cases in Jefferson County. So I don't know if that's a connection, but that's the thing. We're in the Southwest. We have not reached our peak. We in the Southeast, that is they are tending downwards. So we, as I said, we got to be extra vigilant. I know that there is a real push to open up, but I think we will. But we have to do it. We have to get it right. Or I mean, there's already predictions of the second wave. I mean, there will be a wave. There may be a third wave, and that's the thing. We just got to keep on pushing for that vigilance.
So let me shift gears a little bit, and I'll probably let you go. So we've been thinking about municipal finances, and there are places where tax dollars are not coming in, and we're hearing a lot about that. I have a borough council meeting here in about 20 minutes, and we're going to be asking that very same question about how is Indiana Borough doing in terms of finances. We know there's going to be a significant hit. Have you looked at those numbers from Indiana County yet? Do you have any analysis there?
Yeah, we know like you, there's going to be, it was going to be a challenge before this. To be truthful, the budget and finances were pretty iffy before this. So yeah, it's going to be a problem. And we are looking at extending the face value for property taxes. We're looking at a resolution to do that. We're in some talks with some of the tax collectors to see how feasible that is. We think that that's a good thing for the taxpayer to bring some relief to that. We have seen about 80% of the collections already arrive, so that's a good sign. But for the fall taxes, we're not sure on that too. But we're trying to find whatever ways we can bring some relief. But we're going to be looking at most likely cutting programs or services where we can, and still remain in compliance and still, bring the levels of safety that we need to. So yeah, it's definitely on our minds.
Have our federal and state officials heard the call for funding for municipal government?
Well, we wrote to Senator Toomey and Senator Casey and Congressman Thompson and expressed, we're in some pretty dire straits, and we would like some of that. There was some money through the stimulus package for state and local governments, but it only went to about 5 counties because you had to meet a population threshold, and only about 5 counties in Pennsylvania met that. So we were advocating for funding to come directly to the county governments and local governments. And unfortunately, that didn't take this time, but they're saying that that's a possibility for the next stimulus package. So I guess we'll all stay tuned. We're, every day there's some new guidance and there's some new press release about resources available, either for certain industries, agriculture, for food programs. I know that SNAP is getting a real boost, and that's good. I know the statistic at the food banks, we're seeing about 75% increase in families that we've never seen before. So there's a huge need out there, and I don't even think we know what we don't know exactly as far as the needs that are out there.
So is there anything you want to leave us with? I appreciate your time here coming back. It is always great to have somebody on the inside with a great update. Anything else you want to leave us with? And we'll definitely have you back again.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. I appreciate it. I really try to get some meaningful information out there, and I always welcome questions and inquiries. And if I can't get an answer to you right away, I'll certainly try to research it. Sometimes there aren't answers, but I just want everyone to know that your county commissioners are working on maximizing any kind of revenues, any kind of grants that we can towards the expenses, and really being trying to be vigilant about helping the outer line communities as well. And also just a little plug for census. If people haven't done their census, please do it. We have a pretty good return rate. We're getting there. And also voting. We are probably going to be looking at consolidating some polling places to try to minimize the exposure for that day. But our mail-in votes have been off the charts in terms of the numbers, so that's a good thing.
And can you remind our listeners what's the mail-in vote deadline?
May 18th is the last day to apply for your mail-in ballot, and I would do it as soon as possible because things.
You can do that. You can go right online and apply right online, and they'll do that for you, right?
Yep. Everybody should have gotten a little postcard. So May 18th is the last day to. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the last day to update your voter registration. Excuse me. May 26th is the last day to apply for your mail-in ballot, but don't wait till then because it's going to be a challenge. And then you have until June 2nd, 8 p.m. to get your mail-in ballot returned.
Okay. So the mail-in is a good idea, and definitely do the census. Thank you so much for coming back with us, and keep on keeping on. Really appreciate again the work that the work and decisions leaders are having to make based on information that changes on a daily basis. I can't appreciate it anymore. It's really remarkable, kind of even across parties, even despite all sort of the partisan bickering that seems to happen on Facebook. It seems like folks that are making decisions are making the right ones.
I think so too, and to you and the council as well, and all of the local leaders out there. It's not easy right now. It never was, but it's a little gut wrenching right now. But we'll get through it. We'll get through it. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Hess. We'll be right back.